Righty, let us carry on. So today I'm going to be reacting to this channel, Cut For, and I think most of us actually are just plain Cut For. And then we get threatened, which I've noticed, well, seen that um, the ANC want to bring into law anybody that they they to actually say anything about them will get locked up in jail. And so it starts. First, there's talk about it, and then it comes into law, dictatorship, tyranny, everything. So let us hear what what this man has to say. Useless President Ramaphosa on so many levels.
One of the reasons I cannot stand the ANC and Ramaphosa is because of the lawlessness they've brought to this country. The lawlessness and the lack of order in this country is brought by the ANC. Because I remember when I was a bit young and we had post boxes outside, we had telecom prepaid phones. My dad would give me a key and I walk down about 5 minutes down to the post boxes, open the box, get the letters, close it, knowing that nobody's going to vandalize it. Out in the open. Telecom public phones. I mean, when I was studying in Pretoria, all over Pretoria, CBD, Arcadia, anywhere you could look, Hatfield, we had telecom public phones, even in the townships. Nobody was vandalizing them because we understood the value of infrastructure and how we benefit from it. So what this ANC has done is they've imported millions and millions of illegal immigrants who have no value, who don't have any concept of the value of our infrastructure, and they're stripping our country to the bone. So one of the reasons I cannot stand Ramaphosa.
But don't you find it, besides absolutely infuriating, but don't you find it quite odd that minister that is down Turkey talking, Patel, tells Africans to actually destroy things that were built by white people. The absolute hypocrisy just never ends. Never ends.
I cannot stand that man because of what he has done to this country, this beautiful country with so much potential. And what he has done is he has downgraded us to a third world dump where anybody can do anything anywhere with no consequences. And you know what? I'm tired of hearing privileged people come on platforms and talk about how harsh we are with illegal immigrants. Have you ever lived in the township? Imagine living in a house and next door to your house, 7 men move in. You've never met them before. You don't know who they are. And you've got 4-year-old daughters running around the house. How would you feel about that? In the same house. Most township houses are about 10 meters by 20 meters. That's the size of the stand. So if you multiply that by a million, that's the situation we have right now in South Africa with the townships. So going back to Ramaphosa, what I found out about Ramaphosa is that he's
Okay, I do understand what he's saying, and I quite agree with him. But let me tell you from my side, which I cannot understand or stand. People my age, white people, they are comfortably off, shall we just term it as that? They've got no concept of how things have changed whatsoever either. So I have also got a huge niggle as well.
Selfish, and he's behaving like a typical politician. Where I remember the last time the ANC couldn't pay wages and salaries for their staff, and people were asking questions about Ramaphosa is a billionaire. Why doesn't he get some money and pay the staff? He won't do it because he's selfish. Why does Ramaphosa stuff money inside his couch, dollars in the millions inside his couch? Because he's a selfish human being and he's a politician. These people are not interested in solving any problems. They're
No,
interested
they
in
aren't.
piling up money for themselves and their
Of course.
families.
Of
They're not
course.
interested in making our country better and great. They're interested in building their own family wealth. That's what they're there for. And that brings me to the second point that I want to make. I want to keep.
And with the USA, they just required 5 things to change. Ramaphosa, ANC, Juju, MK will not budge. They would rather see the whole country turned into, Africa, a shithole, and they keep the money.
This video very short. I started this heartful journey about a year now, and I've spoken to, call it 100 people on the phone, and we discuss about what Heartful is about, what I'm trying to achieve, how we cannot fix our country, we cannot develop our country until we can deal with the issue of law and order. And I've come to a very, very personal realization about how humans actually behave. And I'm not dissing anybody, but I want to tell you the truth about what happens in this country when people do nothing about it. So I've got my plans, I talk to people, and I get guaranteed pledges from 10 people. I gotta make sure that we have all the compliance done. We have to make sure that you've got that documentation to make sure that everything is legit. The minute it is time to pull the trigger and get this bus on the road, 9 of them were nowhere to be found. Only one person came through. So the point I'm trying to make about this personal experience is that as much as we look at politicians and say politicians are selfish, they don't want to help the country, they behave just like you. We all behave just like politicians. Let me ask you a question. If you live in Stain City or Lawn Hill or Four Ways or Danefern, have you ever been to Deep Sloot? Have you driven through Deep Sloot and
Yes, I
identified the one
have.
thing that you can do
It
to help
is
one person or a
heartbreaking.
group of people in the Deep Sloot? If you stay
It's
in Sandton,
heartbreaking.
have you gone back to Alex, just over the highway, by the way, and look
As I have mentioned, I went uh, to Ipswich in 2022. That you can let people, please note, people that look like you, that feel like you, that have got, that had hopes and dreams and something better. And you sit there year after year waiting for this for this magical thing to actually manifest, and it's not on the horizon. But you hold on because maybe one day is one day. And these little children run around and they've got to breathe in raw sewage. And you being, okay, the parent, you you finally just end up a shell. I think, ah,
Looked at Alex and see how they live over there and what you can do to make a difference in one place. If you stay in Camps Bay and Stellenbosch, if you've gone to Khayelitsha and see what life is like over there and identify one thing that you can do, just one positive thing. Because this is what happens to us as
yeah,
humans. And I've experienced this myself. I'm 44 years old. And I don't think 10 years old, 10 years ago, I was thinking the way I'm thinking. I was happy to drive through my estate gate, get into a warm home, have a nice lekker meal, watch my favorite program with my family, get into a warm bed, wake up in the morning, take a hot shower, and get in my nice car and drive and do my business. Most of us South Africans live just like that,
yeah,
where
we
we
do.
have resigned ourselves to the problems that are
Yeah,
experienced by millions and millions of South Africans that are stuck in the
yeah,
townships. While I'm enjoying that life, that estate life with security and all sorts of protection around me, somebody, a family of three, is living in a 2 meters by 2 meters shack with no floor to speak of in
yeah.
the middle
I've
of
seen
winter.
it. I've seen it.
The question I'm asking you is, if we call politicians selfish, are you not selfish yourself?
Mm,
Because one thing that you must understand about changing the
yeah,
country, it's never about the government or politicians, it's about us. We've identified
I
the issues that we
agree.
have in the country. We've identified the spots that we can make a difference in. But we have to take action. If we don't take action, the politicians are counting on us not taking action because
I
that's how they
agree.
behave. People are happy to live in all these, like, I mean, I'm thinking about the same way I'm asking the question about Dane Fern and Senton. If you stay in Waterfall Estate, have you ever gone to Ivory Park and see what life is like over there? Have you ever lived in Ivory Park with people that have just crossed the border and you don't know who's the former criminal? You don't know what is going on. Anything can happen at any time. There are no street lights to speak of anymore. What have you done in your life? What have you done with the resources that you have to make a difference, even if it's one person? Who's the one person that you dragged out of a situation and made their lives better? Because
Mm,
it's all good and well for us to get in the comment sections and talk about how selfish politicians are. What have you done in your own personal life? If you live a privileged life, and trust me, when I talk about privilege, I know what privilege is because I grew up in a rural area. I spent the first 17 years of my life without electricity. So I know the difference between privilege and disadvantage. I grew up in a disadvantaged background. I turned it around and now I live in a situation of privilege. And since I started working on this heartful idea, my priority is to make a difference so that we can turn this country around. It's going to benefit all of us. You cannot change the whole Alex. You cannot change the whole Ivory Park. It's not possible, but you can make a difference.
mm, true.
You can make a difference. Show me
I
one school
agree.
that Ramaphosa has built before he even became president when he was worth 8 billion rand. One school that he has built. So the point I'm trying to make to everybody else today,
Talking about that, I went onto Wikipedia. They are so reliable. And I actually asked that same question. How many schools have been actually built since 1994? And the number was 2,174. Wikipedia. Be careful what you read.
is through this heartful journey, as much as I'm excited about breaking ground and starting to train these young people to restore law and order in townships, one thing that I've realized is that people are all talk. So most South Africans can talk, but they'll
Yeah.
never take action, and the government knows it.
Mm, mm.
When you drive past a township, when you're on the N14 and driving past Deep Slot and you look and you think, well, why doesn't the government do something about this place? And that's all you're going to
Why
ask, but
don't
you'll never
those
drive there
people
and
do
find out
something?
who is working on what project to improve what service that
I
I can get
agree.
involved in. We don't do that. So people are all talk and no action. And through this
Mm,
journey, that is what I've realized. So the
it's
one thing I
true.
want to leave you with is this. Number one, the ANC has brought us more than anything else, lawlessness,
Mm,
where the law is like a suggestion.
mm.
The law doesn't really matter. I mean, you see it
Yeah.
at the Madlanga Commission. You see it with the arrests of policemen. You see it with people that are.
And what is, I haven't even got the word to actually say it. They are so proud of the fact that South Africa has got such a high rate of crime. They just go, oh well, or law.
Supposed to protect us, but joining criminal gangs and criminal syndicates. What the ANC has brought to this country more than anything else is lawlessness, because until we restore law and order, we will not be able to turn this country around. My priority is to make sure that we can restore law and order in the streets, one street at a time. And once we can clean up and restore, then we'll be able to develop.
Mm,
You cannot create any jobs in an environment where anybody can break the law and there are no consequences. You cannot
yeah.
do that.
Mm,
But then the challenge that I'm bringing to you is, what have you done in your own personal capacity? Everybody always thinks they
yeah.
don't have enough. I used to think about that 10 years
Respect,
ago.
guy,
But now when I'm
respect.
looking at the future, I'm starting to understand that until each and every one of us take small actions, very
Yeah,
small day
just
by day
small little
actions to make a
things.
difference,
Yeah.
we will not turn this country around. Until then, stay safe. One of the reasons I cannot stand the ANC and Ramaphosa.
And this is the whole thing, is that we can all do something. Righty. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.